Hello, and welcome to prompt 16, Angular. Angular was pretty easy to get an idea for. I immediately thought of a low-angle cityscape. They're pretty common, I know, but it was the first thing I thought of, and something I was kind of excited and worried to try. I probably could have just drawn something from an Angular perspective, like with chicken, but like I've said, I've always kind of wanted to try this type of background. See, the story that my original characters from Exhausted come from takes place in a city, so I thought, if I'm ever going to turn that into a comic, I should give it a shot. I'm also pretty shoddy at perspective and vanishing points, so I thought this might be good practice. With that being said, I'm not entirely sure how to do perspective shots, and since I was pressed for time, I didn't really get a chance to look up a tutorial or something useful. I just googled some low-angle city pictures and drew from reference. I guess considering the time constraints I should have chosen something a little easier, but I got ahead of myself I guess. I tried really hard to use a ruler, but I just had so much in the way of trial and error, I ended up just eyeballing it and going with what looked right rather than what lined up with the ruler. It was probably a mistake, and if you know perspective, I'm sorry for this eyesore. This is where digital media really shines. All sorts of programs have perspective rulers and guides to make this stuff so much easier. That being said, I kind of like attempting it without those aids. It's almost like a badge of honor, you know, like I tried something on my own. I probably failed, but hey, I tried. Despite the problems, I think I made a pretty decent attempt for my first foray into this. The whole time I hated this picture though. From the second my pencil hit the paper to my last Copic stroke, I was nothing but regret. Now that I'm done with it, I'm okay with it. I can still see all the flaws and what I kind of wanted it to look like, but even then I can accept it, and I'll keep these things in mind for the next time I attempt this kind of picture. I'm pretty happy with how the boy came out. I'm always worried I'll draw guys looking rigid, unnatural, or posed how I would pose a female character since I'm unfamiliar with drawing men, but I think he came out okay. I almost made the door he's holding open, the door to the bakery from my previous prompts, but the city doesn't really need to revolve around this bakery. Also, the sign is backwards if the shop he's going into is supposed to be open. Maybe he works there, so it's close to customers. Sure, let's say that. I still need to work on different facial structures and things like that since he kind of looks like the kid from Star and yesterday's prompt week. This might be because I drew them back to back, but I'll keep this in mind to avoid some same dude syndrome. He seems kind of concerned as he's going into work, and I'm not really sure why. I have to say this is the first prompt that I've had a hard time developing a little story for. This was also the first prompt that I didn't have a lot of deliberation when I was thumbnailing it for ideas. Maybe it's a trade-off. There are a lot of things in this illustration that I'm doing for the first time, so maybe story just took a back seat. I'll try to avoid this for future prompts though. So for this one, I actually did kind of have an idea of how I wanted it to look when I was inking. I wanted to have the tops of the buildings be kind of dark and the windows mainly white so they would pop, and have it gradually alternate to the building being light and the windows being dark towards the bottom, to show how they were reflecting light when they were higher and that the rooms were darker down lower. But my gel pen isn't quite as opaque as I would need it to get it to come through, so I only got a few test windows. Hopefully it doesn't look too silly. I also put in some dinky clouds. They almost look like smoke or something, but they're supposed to be clouds. That's probably another thing I'm not very well versed in. Well, I guess anything background related really. Once I put the Copics down, I think that it really helped this illustration, and I like how the buildings actually do change in tone. Overall, this prompt had a lot of things to teach me. I'm not crazy with the results, but I'm satisfied with the experience. I'm still kind of disappointed that there wasn't really a story to tell with this one. If nothing else, I'm getting a lot of practice in backgrounds, perspective, and dudes. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and again, if you have any suggestions on content you'd like to see from me in the future, leave it in the comments below. Hopefully you'll stop by for tomorrow's prompt. Swollen. Bye.